Hello there, this is Daniele from Toolchefs and welcome to this new video about the stadium walkthrough. So until now what we have seen is how you can set up your agent types, animation clips, state machines and things like that. What we want to do in this video, we want actually to play a Mexican wave on a group of agents. So for this video I'm actually starting from the same setup that we prepared in previous videos. So we have the clips, the agent type and the state machine. For this one, what I'm going to do is we're going to create an agent group with a grid layout and a state machine. I have to change the agent type here like this and say I want this to be like a grid like this one. Then we can change the view mode, the display type into skin. And if I press play here, my agents are just like playing the idle clip. One thing that we want to do straight away, because we're going to change the state of the agents during the simulation, I'm going to activate the set state on agent creation only. This is because the state machine will set the state of the agents at every frame if we don't set this value to, if we don't enable this option here. This is something that you might want or you might not want. It really depends on your setup. If you change the state a lot and you don't want really the state machine to set that the state at every tick. At every frame, sorry. So just make sure to enable this in case that you don't want the state machine to set it continuously. Whenever we change the state here, what we're doing here is really just changing the metadata value, the state metadata value. If you remember and if you watch the video of the Atoms overview, you might know that each agent has a set of specific metadata that are created by, like when they are built, when they're created. But also you can attach your own. If you go on the documentation, we have this metadata page under Atoms Crowd, and if you scroll down, you will find this agent metadata section with a table containing all the metadata that are built by default for your agents. Here we have the state metadata, which is like the metadata that basically the user is passing as input for changing the state of the agent, while the state that is currently being played by the state machine is current state. We're gonna see in a second what is the difference between the two. But basically, yeah, if you want to know all the metadata that are available, just go in the documentation and check this page. And of course, you can add your own metadata as well if you want directly within Atoms. So just to show you quickly, if I open the draw metadata section here and let's say I want to see the state. Sorry, wrong button. So I want to see the state and I want to see also the current state. If I change the state, so let me disable that for a second. Here, let's say I set again 0 and then I set this one to 2, which is the wave. If I press play, we see that at this point the state is changing, but the current state is still 0 because Atom is waiting for to hit like a transition frame for the clips, and then after that, basically we start playing the other clip, and then we'll change the current state. So you see the current state now is 2 because we are actually now in the wave state. This is quite important because especially if you want to debug your scenes, this is something that becomes pretty useful, especially if you want to debug your state machine and things like that. So I'm gonna enable this option again, and to change the state. So at the moment, what we did there is we animated it manually, but of course in a Mexican wave, you would see the agents doing the wave starting from one side and then going all the way to the other side of this group. If we'd have to do that manually, it would be like a very tedious work, which is not something that we want to do. So to do this, we have prepared a new specific module, which is called the wave module. There's another module that could do this job for you, which is basically the era trigger. Although there are some limitations with the error trigger. So by default, you see that the error trigger changes the state metadata. It will take as input a mesh. So for instance, let's create just a plane in this case. I'm going to change the scale to 1000 to 500. I'm just gonna resize it a little here. And I'm gonna just move it here. setting a keyframe there, going to another frame, setting another keyframe. Basically now this is what the plane does, it's just flying over the agents. So if you you can basically use this plane to drive this the wave. So you can just middle mouse drag and drop the plane on the mesh field, and this will also connect the translation, rotation, and scale. We're saying here we're changing the state metadata, which if we go in the docs here, we see that the state is actually an int. So in this case, we would have to change the int value, which is down here, to 2, which is the stand wave. And then we can press play, and the agents will actually, you know, playing the wave. Of course, again, it's not perfect because the agents are, you know, starting the wave randomly, and this is because, again, of the transition frames that we have set up in the clip on the stand. So we see we have 0, 50, 100, 150, and so on. So Atoms will wait until the idle clip actually reaches one of these frames before starting the wave. So to do that, what you could do is like you could change this value to -1, and Atoms will actually consider all the frames to be transition frames, but it's not something that we want in this case. I mean, it's something that you might want, but you have to be careful because you're not just doing this for the wave, for this change with this agent group specifically, but if you are using this clip also with other agents in this scene with other agent groups, you're also setting the transition frames for to -1 for all those agents as well that are playing this animation. So you might want to be careful with this. Of course, it's totally fine to do this and set this to -1 in case you just have like one group and so on. But in our case, what we want to do really is, because there would be like some work to do if you wanted to use the error trigger, is we can use the wave module. And I'm gonna explain to you in a second what this does, because basically the wave module is just a more customized area trigger, which basically works specifically for the wave. So as you can see here, actually we have passed again a mesh, so which is gonna be the same plane. We can say if it's a volume or not, because sometimes you want to use a cube or a sphere, but anyway, a plane works just fine in our case. We're gonna change the state to 2, which is the wave state. If we press play now, we see basically that the agents are actually playing the animation straight away. And this is because this module actually sets one other metadata on the agents, which is the force clip transition. So if this is set to true, this metadata, what will happen is that the Atoms won't wait until it reaches a transition frame for the current clip. It will actually go to the next state straight away. And this is what's happening. The only thing is that here you might want to not have, all the agents starting on the same frame, so we can add some delay. We can provide 2 values here, which is basically an initial. So basically what's happening here, when you pass these 2 values, Atoms will assign a delay between 10 and 20 frames to each one of these agents. So let's actually say 30. So if I press play now, you see the agents are not completely in sync, and so it looks a bit more organic. A bit more organic. Of course, you can also randomize this value per agent if you want. So, I mean, to have this range customized per agent, we can, for instance, select some agents here, then change the range. So we can say maybe 10 and 30 and then 20 and 40, and then click randomize. You will set like a random value for the agents. And then just for those agents, they will pick like a different delay. So if I press play now, this is what's happening. Okay, so let me clear this one because we don't care. Anyway, you can change the seed for randomizing it a bit more. You can change also the, you can randomize the state if you want. In our case, of course, what we want to do is just, to play the wave. So state 2 will do just fine for us. One thing with this module and also with the error trigger is that if we press play, we see that the agents, if we just let it go for a while, the agents will keep doing the wave continuously. And this is because of 2 things. So the first one is, so let me just show you the metadata just for the first agent. If we press play, so you see the current state here is 2, but the state is 0. So actually, sorry, let me play it frame by frame so it's a bit more clear. So let me see where we hit the state change. So here we hit the state change. With the wave module, what it does is set the state to 2 at this frame. So the first frame where the agents enter the ARA trigger and the delay, of course, has finished playing. And then the following frame, it sets the state back to the previous value if you have this keep state option off. I'm gonna show you in a second when we have it on what happens. It's doing this with when it changes state the first time, so from 0 to 2, it actually sets also the force clip transition. So basically, it's instructing Atoms to go to the other state straight away. So then, if we press play, this agent goes to the stand wave state. But if you see here, although the state is 0, so the input state, what we're saying to Atoms is play state 0, is still in state 2. And if you're wondering why, this is basically something that it's pretty important to know, is because in the state machine here, the stand wave is not connected back to the stand state. So basically what you're telling Atoms in this case, with this connection and with this graph, is that you can just go from stand to stand wave, but you cannot go back from stand wave to stand. So if you want to do that, you can just right click on the stand wave and then drag and drop the connection on stand, hit register. And now if I press play again, after we finish playing the stand wave clip, now the agents will go to the state 0. So now they are back in the wave in the idle state. Okay, so that's great. Let me hide the draw metadata stuff. Cool. So now what we can do is also play a little with the keep state, so that I'll show you what it does. So basically what it does is very simple. If you enable it, what you're saying is that when the timer is finished, when you are inside the area and the timer is finished, and the state changes, don't set the state back to the value that we had before. So if you see here, the state value, the input value is always 2. So we'll continuously playing the stand wave, which is something that you might or not want. So just so that you know, that is the case for this specific module, basically. So anyway, I will turn it off again and just disable the draw metadata here. And if I press play, let me clear also the selection here. So if I press play, this is basically the result that we got. With the wave module, and the setup is quite simple actually here. So it's just 3 modules for getting the wave. Okay, now what we can do is we can have a look at another example. So for instance, with the Atoms agents, let's just load the plugin Atoms agents. So basically now I can merge the scene JSON for the Atoms agents. So of course you need to have this installed if you want to use the Atoms agents, but anyway, so now it's installed, I've already merged. So if we go in the Atoms UI, we will find that we have all the characters and clips for the Atoms agents. So we have the man. Just quickly, I'm gonna change the state machine to the man stadium state machine, so we can use the man stadium state machine. And what we want to do here, I'm gonna select it like this. What we want to do here is we want to use the man instead of the one that we just used, so the Atoms agents man. So let me just disable that for a second. Just use man here. So we have to change a little bit the value. So for instance, the state here, the stand is still 0, but the wave is another value. So it's 9. So we're gonna change this to 9. Press play. We should see, yeah, basically the same simulation that we had before. So let's say we have created a layout that has some standing and sitting agents. So like stand and sit. So let's say if we randomize the state, so we're gonna select all, value 0, 1, randomize. So we have some agents that are sitting down and some others that are just standing. If we press play now, we'll see that not all the agents will play that the wave animation for the sit, because of course, as we noticed earlier, if the sit, any state is not connected to the state where you're trying to go, the animation is not being played. So you see the stand wave is here, the sit is not connected. Also, it wouldn't be wise to go straight from sit to stand wave, because of course the transition would not be great if it didn't have any transition clip in this case. But in any case, here we have also a sit wave, so it's another state, which is 14, right? So what we can do here is we can select the agents with the layout tool. So if we open the layout tool, so tools, agent layout tool, and then we go here in the selection search. So we can say, I want to search by metadata. So I can use the state. So state. Here you can provide a range. So in my case, because I want to select the sit, all the agents that are in sit state, which is 1, I'm just going to provide 1 and 1. So you see now all the agents that are set down, they're selected. I'll go back now to the wave module. I'm going to open the state here. So we have already all the agents selected here. And I'm going to say I want to go to the sit wave state, which is 14, right? So I go here and say 14, set value is set. So now the agents are gonna play the sit wave animation, while the others are actually playing the stand wave animation. So basically this is how you can actually, you know, tweak a little the state, you know, if they come from different states. So that's how you can go to a state with a different number. Also we can deactivate some of them. So for instance, if I were to go here and I would like select these guys, and these guys, we can say for these guys I don't want them to be set value. I think that should be, actually let me refresh. Yeah, okay, yes, so here they are, so they are not active, so those ones should actually not play the wave. See, like all, like the others, these guys here, they were selected and they didn't play the wave. Okay, so this is all for the wave video. I hope you liked it, and see you in the next video.